Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another Star Wars Unlimited deck tech, and as you can see today, we are taking a look at Jyn Erso. Jyn is widely believed to be a bad leader, and if you consider the meta, I think that's probably fair. She comes down on your 6 resource turn, which is pretty tough, especially when she's being out-tempoed by Boba Fett, and 2 turns behind Sabine, which are the 2 top decks in the meta. That's not even to discuss the control decks and stuff that have come out of Poland and the other major events that have happened. However, I think she's got some potential, and today we are looking at her as a double Cunning list. And what we're doing today here is kind of a tempo control list. So we're going to get to it. I'm going to go ahead and start with the space units. We are running a set of 12 space units. Everything is a full play set. We're looking at Outer Rim Headhunter. The reason that we like Outer Rim Headhunter is mostly for your turn before Jyn. So you don't often want to be turn one-ing the Outer Rim Headhunter. I think there are better turn 1 plays in the deck. This is much better as your turn 4 play, maybe as a pair of on your turn 4 play if you're able to draw a couple of them. Once you flip Jyn, you're able to attack with these guys and exhaust non-leader units. That's quite strong. It's not Fet's Fire Spray strong, but you're not paying for it. So it is quite good. It's a 1/3 body that has raid 1, and then when it attacks, if you control your leader, you can exhaust a non-leader unit. A very strong situational card, but that situation is completely up to you. If you play it early, it's probably going to die early. If you play it right before you play Jyn, you might lose one of them, but you might get to keep one, and then you can go from there. The second card we are running is full play set of Millennium Falcon, because this card is just good. Oftentimes you're not going to pay for the regroup phase tax on it. You just bring it back to your hand, recast it if you have nothing else to do, and get your 3 damage in because it enters play ready. This card is one of the more expensive cards in the set for a reason. It's just a good card. 3/4 body for 3, solid. We are running a playset of Aztec Liberator gunships. This is specifically for the ambush. It's a 3/4 body for 4 that comes in and should just be killing something. You run into problems with shields, obviously, but a lot of the stuff that's being played right now is statted in a way that an Aztec Liberator can typically take it out. So we're running the full set there. And then we are running a full set of Strafing Gunship. This card is amazing against a lot of the aggro stuff and against a lot of the other tempo decks, because we can attack the ground arena with it, and if you're attacking the ground arena with it, the defender gets -2/-0. There's a lot of stuff you can take out for free with this card on the other side. So beyond that ability, it's still a 3/4 stat line for 4. Just a solid inclusion in this, and that rounds out our space units. Next, we're going to talk about the ground units. We are running 20 ground units. Our turn 1 drop I'm going to talk about last, but we're running a full playset of Ezra Bridger, Force Rebel Spectre, just a solid card because it allows us to filter our deck a little bit. This is typically going to be your turn 2 play if you can, because having Ezra online early is very good. The deck initially ran Sneak Attack. As I was going through it, the only real target for Sneak Attack is Ezra. Nothing else really did anything. I wasn't running K2s. I wasn't running anything that has an on defeat. So the Sneak Attack wasn't optimized in this deck. Being able to attack once early with Ezra, you could do a turn 1 Ezra, but that only lets you filter once, and then you lose a 3/4 body. So we ultimately cut the Sneak Attacks, but Ezra stays. Very, very good card. We are running the full playset of Bodhi Rook. This deck is able to take advantage of the double Cunning cards, and they are all quite strong. Sneak Attack was very good with Bodhi Rook. You could sneak attack him in, look at your opponent's hand, and snag the removal, snag or resupply, what have you. However, then you're also contending with losing a 3/3 body. Ultimately, we're just better off playing him on turn 2 for the same effect. So Bodhi Rook as a playset, very strong card. Hand disruption, very strong in a game that is trying to filter for turns down the road. We are running a duo of Gamorrean guards. They are very good when they're good, but they're very bad when they're not good. It's a 4/4 for 4 that can have Sentinel if you have another Cunning unit. The whole deck is Cunning units. You should be able to get Sentinel online, but if you can't, it's pretty bad. But the deck needs some kind of Sentinel unit. This is the best statted one that I just believe this one fits the slot well. We're only running it as a 2-of though. We are running a full playset of Syndicate Lackeys because of Ambush. It's a power statted ambush, so for 5 you get a 5/4 that can take out most of the turn 5 threats, to include the other relevant ambush cards currently. So full playset here of Syndicate Lackeys. They're solid in this deck. The second double Cunning card is Cantina Bouncer. This is essentially a waylay on a 3/5 body. Very strong. This was another sneak attack target, but again, leaving that 3/5 body to die for nothing it's not great. It turned it into literal waylay, and we're running waylay, so very solid double Cunning card, because it does come down on turn 4, and you're able to deal with a lot of their stuff. It's really dependent on your opponent, but being able to bounce something back to their hand can invalidate their entire turn on turn 4. That can be very strong. Han Solo is a 3-of. 7-drop, ambush, will attacking. He gets what Magic players call first strike. Very, very strong late game card. This is our finisher. We should be dealing damage along the way with the rest of our ground units, with our space units. Han Solo should be able to come down and finish a game, but he does typically come down and take out just about anything. He can't kill Boba Fett leader. There are leaders that he can't take out, but he can deal with a lot. And then our 1-drop slot is kind of in flux. I landed on Crafty Smuggler as a 3-of, but I will listen to just about anybody's argument if you want 3 Greedos. Like, this is totally valid. The shield is very strong on turn 1 for Crafty Smuggler, but we're running so many events. We're running 18 events. So you could reasonably run Greedos in the Crafty Smuggler spot. I like all of the events. I think all of the events, as you're going to see them here, all of the events have a reason to be in the deck. And if you lose a Greedo and then you flip a Cunning, and the Cunning goes to your graveyard, and you pop a shield off of a 7th Fleet Defender, you're going to feel bad about it more often than not. So it's a ground unit anyway, so you pop a shield off of a Crafty Smuggler, you're going to feel bad about losing your Cunning just to pop a shield. So there's a lot of feel bad hits with Greedo. That's why ultimately, stop shaking the table. Ultimately, I landed on Crafty Smuggler, but Greedo is a totally valid option. So 3 Crafty Smugglers are in my list. Your list might look a little different, but that is the ground units. And now we're going to talk about those 18 events. The first event that we're running is a full playset of Asteroid Sanctuary. This card keeps you alive in the early game against aggro. If you're able to get your Crafty Smuggler down and destroy one of aggro's units with an attack, then you can tap down the next turn with and give your Crafty Smuggler back his shield. It's just such a good card. We are running the full playset of those. We are running 3 Surprise Strikes. Surprise Strike, it's an action cheat card that gives a buff. Very good card. Pairs very well with Ezra to hit for 6 and take a look at your next card without costing you too much. So a lot of times you can cast a Surprise Strike, use Ezra, hit his ability, flips a card, and the deck's resource curve is so low that oftentimes you'll be able to chain Surprise Strikes together or cast another unit off of Ezra, because some of these resources or some of these events cost so little. So 3 of those. This is going to be your turn 1 play every game if you can make it happen. Spark of Rebellion is so strong in a tempo deck because you're going to look at your opponent's hand. You're either going to take their turn 1 play or you're going to take whatever their relevant card is, because you only get 4 cards to start in this game. Trading this card for one of their cards is very strong. Basically, you start with 3 cards. You don't start with a unit, but you can make it so they don't start with a unit if you're on the play, if you have initiative, or you can take whatever. I default to resource stuff a lot, so you can take any of their ramp. You can take their end game units. You can take whatever with this. Very strong turn 1 play. I like Spark of Rebellion a lot in this deck. I think that this card is also underpriced right now as we get more sets. I look at other games to see where their hand disruption lands, and there's some very expensive hand disruption throughout the history of card games. So I look for this card to get better, but I think in this deck it's already very good. We are running a single copy of Outmaneuver. This is kind of your panic button. If Boba starts flooding with creatures, you can hit an Outmaneuver and slow him down for a turn. It hits you as well, obviously, but it gets you another draw, it gets you another phase. That's why we're only running a 1 of. Oftentimes you're going to resource this, but it can be very good. It's great when it's good. It's great when it's bad. It's a resource. So full play set of Waylays. Return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand. That's on turn 2. This can be the whole turn. On turn 3 or 4, this can be the whole turn. You're paying 3 to return their 5-drop to their hand. That's a very strong thing. You got to be a little bit careful that you're not giving them extra value back. You don't want to bounce a Vader back, something like that, unless you absolutely have to. Any of them ETB abilities that are very strong right now, you kind of want to avoid with Waylay. But oftentimes, returning a unit to an opponent's hand is as strong as killing that unit. So, very good tempo card here. Running at is a full play set. We are running 2 copies of Don't Get Cocky. I think this card is very underplayed right now. It can go in any Cunning deck, and it's possible that Cunning is just being underplayed as an aspect, but Don't Get Cocky is a phenomenal removal spell. For 4, you choose a unit. 1 at a time, you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you choose to stop or have revealed 7 cards. If the combined cost of the revealed cards is 7 or less, deal that much damage to the chosen unit. Put the revealed cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order. So we have Han Solo in this deck. We can hit a 7 with it to kill a Boba leader that has flipped outright. We have so many 2s and 3s and 3s and 4s that you're very likely to be able to go to your second card to get to that 7 as well. So this you're not gonna hit 7 out the gate very often, but if you hit a 3, you can go again because there are a lot of 2s, there are a lot of 4s. Kind of turns the game into a little bit of blackjack, but that's why it's called a gambit. But it is a very strong removal spell. And the final card that we are running is a full playset of Cunning. This card is our final double aspect Cunning card, and it is probably the best card in the deck. Starting on turn 3, you can return a non-leader unit with 4 or less to its hand, give a unit +4/+0, or exhaust up to 2 units and have an opponent discard a random card from their hand. More often than not, you are going to be returning a card. So this is going to be a Waylay Outmaneuver combination, kind of. Frequently, you're able to deal with everything that they have on their board, make them replay it out that turn. So this tends to reset their entire turn and give you a chance to get in there and bop for a little bit of damage. The most chosen, in my opinion, are going to be Return Leader and exhaust up to 2 units. So having an opponent discard a random card can be very good because, like, if they don't have cards in their hand, if they've played out their entire hand, you can bounce a Vader or bounce an Avenger, something that has a very strong ETB effect, and then choose to have them discard. That will put that serves as hard removal. It's kind of a waste of this card, but that's why there's 4 different options on the card, and you get to choose 2 of them. So that is the main deck. I will say that I have play tested it quite a lot on Force Table. I have not played it live yet. I intend to play this live this week at my local event. We'll let you know how that goes. The problem is I'm not going to be able to test my sideboard because the event that I play is best of one currently. So I won't be able to test the sideboard, but we're still going to talk about it. We have the other 2 copies of Outmaneuver in the sideboard because sometimes this card is very good against aggro. Mostly you're going to want to bring this in so you can exhaust entire arenas. Aggro tends to focus on ground, so you can exhaust the ground unit, shift your focus over to the space arena. But we got the other 2 copies of Outmaneuver. And then I built in kind of a rebel package because sometimes this deck is too slow and sometimes it can't compete against, like, it hits that weird middle ground where if you're playing against control, you don't have enough units because they're able to favorably trade with all your units and whatnot, and you're too slow to beat control, or I'm sorry, aggro. So sometimes you end up in a race that you can't win with aggro. So what we can do is we can sideboard, and I've added a rebel package that is 3 wing leaders, 3 rogue operatives, and 2 fleet lieutenants. So this pairs very well with the 2 playsets of rebels that are already in the deck in Ezra Bridger and Bodhi Rook. They are both also rebels, so that gives us a reasonable number of rebels to use fleet lieutenant and wing leader on, and that can make our deck a little bit faster. And that's really the only goal of this sideboard is to transition it into a little bit more aggro deck with better removal than the aggro decks run. So I would be probably swapping out Gamorrean guards, Cantina bouncers, and Syndicate lackeys, and then probably taking out the Cunnings for the outmaneuvers, I think is how we would sideboard. Obviously it depends on the matchup, but I did forget to mention we are on a 30 hit point base because Jeddah City does not do enough against anything, really. I don't think giving something -4, -0 one time is worth 5 hit points. If it was -5, -0, you could at least have the math to fall back on and say, hey, well, at least you saved that 5 hit points once, right? But at 4, I don't know. I'm going to take some convincing on that card. If we're running Cunning, we're probably running 30 hit point bases. But that's the deck, and I have a deck list coming up and some gameplay. I did run Force Table gameplay against the 2 meta decks, Boba Fett and Sabine green. It did take me a little bit longer to get my wins. I don't think that this deck is a meta deck, and I have no problem saying that. This deck was built with the intention to try to play some double aspect cards, and this deck looked fun. I wanted to make Jyn because everybody thinks she's terrible. This is the best version of Jyn I could come up with, so maybe she's just bad, but she's fun to play. So, if you like what you saw here, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to find your way back for more Star Wars Unlimited content, go ahead and hit that sub button. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.
from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If you wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed 'em. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for it.